Hello world, it's Lee coming to you live again from Jakarta in Indonesia, and we are at Rework, the co-working space. How do you pronounce the suburb or the area that we're in?
It's the busiest uh, area in Jakarta.
Yes, and what's the name of it?
It, Sudirman, Kuningan, Kuningan.
Kuningan,
Yes,
Kuningan.
Kuningan. It's
Kuningan.
yellowish.
Right.
It's yellowish.
Yellowish, you're right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yellowish.
Okay. And so I'm here with Jacqueline, and Jacqueline's from Ruang.com,
correct.
and you're the head of operations for Ruang.com. So just before we get in to talk about that, just can you tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from and what you've done before, and how did you end up with Ruang.com?
All right. To make story short, so I was born here in Jakarta, but I went abroad to get my education. So I went to Singapore for about like 4 years, and then I continued in Seattle, USA. And then I came back here, and then first of all, I was a music teacher actually,
Wow.
for like quite some time, like for 10 years or so. But then like I got very interested in this startup um, phenomena that it's happening in Jakarta, especially like like we are watching Silicon Valley, and I got like, really consumed with it. Like, oh, I really want to work in that kind of environment. So one day I started to like, oh, okay, I have to stop what I'm doing right now, and I just start to change. Right. So I got into like e-commerce first for about like 2 years, and then one day I just I found Ruang.com through like job sites. So this is like where I like this is the history.
And,
Yeah.
and there, here you are.
Yes, here
Wow.
I am.
It's an interesting history. So Seattle and
Long journey.
long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Ruang.com. What does Ruang.com do?
Well, Ruang.com is actually Ruang. Like I told you, Ruang is space in English. So it's actually it's a website to we combine communities of architects, interior designers, homeowners, vendors. We put them all together in one website. So it's like a directory listing. But we also provide like for homeowners so they can start project with us. So it's like house in do you know house.com? Yeah.
Right.
But our target market is for Indonesian markets.
Right.
Yes.
And so is it sort of a marketplace type of?
It's not really a marketplace type of thing. It's like a directory listing mostly.
Right.
But we also create like a environment where they can upload their portfolios, where they can be proud of what they're working for, like their projects and stuff. So homeowners can actually see what they're doing, and they can get jobs.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long has it been going for?
Well, actually, Ruang.com is founded in 2014 in Surabaya. So it's our third year going forth. Yeah, it's 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you self-funded, or have you raised capital or seed capital?
Since I'm not the founder, so I cannot talk like a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah.
But no, we're self-funded. We're self-funded.
Self-funded.
Yes.
And okay, that's fantastic. And so, what's the traction like? I mean, is it growing fast? How many people have you got on the site?
Well, actually, it's been a quite long journey. We're trying to upgrade our website as well, but we are now currently concentrating on media, on contents. So basically, we have about like 150,000 viewers like a month. They're reading our articles about interior design and aesthetics in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's a listing for people that are interior designers and house builders.
Yes,
But can the consumer that would want to say pick an interior designer to do their home or to build their home, they can go there and they can
can go there.
search and they can
course,
find
yeah.
and so is there sort of smarts built into it, in terms of artificial intelligence, so it automatically recommends maybe you might like this and maybe you might like that? How does that work?
Actually, we're like somewhere in between right now. So we're going that way. We're
Yeah.
going to that direction. But right now we are pretty much like semi-manual still,
Yeah.
because like this industry, it's still. I mean, like a website for home industry in Jakarta, in Indonesia especially, it's still new. Our competitors as well have only been in this department for like 2 or 3 years, the same as us. So it's still growing. So we still need to find ways to make them want to upload their projects to our website. So we cannot be totally like full AI. We cannot put like full AI on our website yet. We still need a human touch still.
Yes.
We still need to call them. We still need to manually pick them from expo exhibition.
Right.
We still do that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so monetizing, they pay to go onto the site?
No, it's actually free,
Right.
but we also have this called premium subscribers. So basically, to sign up is free. So if you want to put your listing, it's actually really, really free. But we will recommend you to go to upgrade to premium, where we can like advertise your projects even more.
Right.
Yeah, so we can like recommend you to our homeowners.
Right. And in terms of
Yeah.
home building, and it seems to me there's a lot of apartment buildings in Jakarta.
Yeah.
So is it a lot of apartments that people are, using the site for in terms of just interior design, or are there more people actually building homes on blocks of land?
Not particularly blocks of land. I mean, they can, but they have to request for it manually still. I mean, they have to request. But our online project, our online request is actually for apartment designs, home designs, and offices like this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how big is your team now?
Or our team is actually not very not large yet. We're about, I think, 15 people.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a good size.
It's a good size, really? Oh, okay,
well,
good.
15.
Good to know.
Well, I mean, if you haven't had any funding and you're self-funding and you're
Yeah.
generating revenues and you're paying 15 people, I mean, that's
Wow, okay.
I think that's a pretty good way for a startup to go. Well, what we see in other parts of the world and from where we're
Yeah.
from in Australia is that first thing is usually people go out and try and raise money, and what I see here in Jakarta is a little different. They go out and try and find customers, which I think is a really smart way to do it, because every time you raise money, you're selling off part of your business.
Yes, and not just that. I mean, like, we are selling our freedom to choose. We are selling our like freedom for the ideas that come from our passions, right? Like, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so let's talk ecosystem. I mean,
Yeah.
you said that you had seen the ecosystem and you'd seen Silicon Valley and you got excited about that. And we've just been astounded with some of the things, and particularly in the social entrepreneur space that's happening. People are applying their minds and their innovation to solving real problems. And Indonesia, being such a large country, relatively small island land space, if you like, 255 million people, I think, but a very fast-growing economy, one of the fastest in the world. It's predicted to be one of the biggest economies, I think, by 2030, up in the top 10 economies in the world. And so we're seeing this diversification from an old world economy of manufacturing, and we're moving into this digital economy. How do you see the Indonesian environment growing, and what's the vibe like?
The vibe, well, like you said, it's still divided into two big categories. Like, there's like this big chunk of, I cannot say old people, like our previous generations that are still.
Does that include me?
No, you're cool. Okay, our previous generation was like really wary of this technology. So, for example, I can, the biggest transportation online in Indonesia, we have Gojek, right? Can I say names here? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like.
We interviewed one of the early starters of Gojek the other day, Rama.
I had a talk with one of the the driver, but he's not applied in Gojek. I mean, he's like the traditional ones. So I asked him, like, why don't you join online? And he said it's hard to learn new stuff. So that's the problem. I mean, like,
Right.
I mean, like, they can, but they're too
Stuck in their ways.
yeah, like they got scared before they tried. Like, so that part is scary. I mean, like, in a couple of years they will be out of jobs if they're not changing their ways. But if you ask about the vibes of this environment,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's full of life. It's it's hopeful, it's like full of hope.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like anything is possible.
Yeah.
Which is why we love startups. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely what we're seeing. But and there's also a lot of young people in Indonesia,
Yeah.
and the young people seem to be embracing social media. I think some of the statistics we've heard is they spend more time on Facebook, more time viewing videos, and videos like what we're producing to hopefully, if somebody can watch one and get one little snippet of information or a bit of education and say, hey, that's a good idea, I might try and go that and do that myself. So the young people seem to be embracing it, but perhaps the older generations are saying, it's passed us by. Maybe this is a young person's thing. Is that what you think?
I think not all of them, but if this is the way that they're thinking like this, if this is the way that they think and they're not willing to change, then well, there's going to be some consequences. That's what I'm saying.
Like the world's moving.
The world keep on moving. And it's so fast. Like even for me, even in this environment, I mean, like every day, like things keeps changing. Like yesterday it's selfie, now it's vlogging. Like, it's like we have to keep track every day. We have to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It really is hard to keep up, and I've been in technology pretty much all my life, and so I started back in selling computers in 1985. So and I've sort of watched the whole thing progress over that, and I have trouble keeping up with it. So help my poor parents who are 80 years old. Our mother embraces Facebook. She's fantastic. She takes it on and she uses it, and it's a great way to connect and keep in touch with family. But it is challenging to keep up with.
Like we have to keep being relevant every day. Like we have to keep learning every day. I think that's the beauty of startups. We have to keep on learning. We want to learn every day. Like we how do you say it? Like we have to want to learn.
Yes.
I think that's the point.
Yes, and I think that's the three top skills that the World Economic Forum put forward for 2020 will be critical thinking, problem solving, and creative thinking. And so that means that we need to keep learning, we need to keep creating, and we need to be applying that.
Correct. And I think it's even harder from this generation because we are competing actually with the next generation, which they are born with technology.
Digital natives.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. So we have to be a little bit faster and smarter. That's.
And I heard a great saying where someone said that in the old economy it used to be the big companies that would take over the small companies, and now it's the fast taking over the slow.
Yes. Isn't it scary?
Right.
It's like rabbits winning.
Yeah. So you just got to move fast, fast, and keep moving. Yeah. And so what's next for
the company?
Your company? Yeah.
Ruang.com?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we are trying to bridge that problem. So, the home industry, like this architecture designer thing, it's basically offline. It's been known for offline. Like we have lots of offline exhibition. We have lots of offline expo and stuff like that. But now we're going to bring it online. So our challenges is actually to make people get used to the idea. You can try to design your house online.
Right.
You can try to find this type of jobs online. You can try to find this services online.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to educate them, like more effectively in that area.
Yeah, and I guess part of that, the online component is the infrastructure that's got to be. There's a lot of infrastructure development being done, so there's a bit of catch up to do there.
And there's a lot of like big companies from this industry that's already been there for quite a long time. So it's going to be quite challenging, but. Yeah, we're going to take it.
Yeah, you're going to take the challenge. So that's the advice. Take the challenge.
Take the challenge.
Take the leap and go for it.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll see if we will succeed or fail, but at least we try.
Yeah. Well, I always say that I think you learn more out of the failures than you do out of the successes, because when you fail and something doesn't work, it's time that you can sit back and reflect and say, okay, how could I have done that better?
Close that door. Try to find another one. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes when you had success, you don't sit back and go, how could I have done that better?
Yeah. I know.
Right? So if people want to contact you, ruang.com, just go to
Yes,
ruang.com.
just go to ruang.com, yeah.
And you're on social media as well.
Of course. Yeah.
You'll find us on Beach City Live on our
Okay,
Facebook
I'll watch it
page.
later.
Go and watch it. It's live now.
Oh,
so,
no.
So by all means, if you want to put a comment or a link or anything else on the post so that people can find more information about it,
Okay,
then go
sure.
ahead. It's been wonderful talking with you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you very much
very
for
nice
your
to meet
time.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.